It's 5 o'clock in Pirate Country, and it's time to get pumped up with the P-Man. Hit the door and hit the road. 94.3 The Game is going to get you home, and the P-Man's not holding back.
Yes! Yes! Pirates win! Pirates win!
Bring on the Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
Holy mackerel! Oh, my goodness!
The flagship station of the ECU Pirates.
All right, welcome in. It is game day in Greenville. Patrick Johnson Show, 94.3 The Game, and the IBX Media app, also streaming at 94.3thegame.com. Perhaps as germane at any point in history to know those other destinations because of our little snafu yesterday. What's going on here? Do I have a little what would you call this? A piece of fluff on me. Lint. All right. ECU trying to snap a 3-game losing streak. Pirates have been really kind of rotten offensively, and they have struggled in their last 2 home games mightily against UNCW and then last time out against North Alabama. Tonight's opponent, Florida International, comes in, the Panthers of FIU. They are 4-6, but they have won 3 of their last 5 and put together 2 wins in a row. So they will try to get a game closer to 500. Pirates, meantime, will try to get an 8th win, which, you lose tonight as we bring in Philip the Ref Pilkington, esteemed producer and co-host of the Patrick Johnson Radio Experience. When you look at Pilk, and I mean, this is just the facts. You lose tonight, I think it's a really tough deal. And you're then 5-5 against D1 competition if you lose tonight. So, gotta get a victory tonight. This to me is like any way possible, by any means possible, you win tonight. If you're Mike Schwartz and the Pirates.
I'm with you. It's whatever it takes, right? So Pirate fan nature is the second football ends is to turn the page to baseball. Yesterday, the baseball schedule came out.
Ridiculous, by the way.
It is, but that's the nature of the business.
Well,
and
not every fan, but I think that's a real Greenville-centric thing.
Yeah.
But agree to disagree. Go ahead.
So you've already got that. People are looking forward to the bowl game. They're looking forward to baseball season. Things aren't going well. Yeah. So for the sake of the fans to still show up and support you, and the sake of your mental stability when you've been told, hey, you made this really easy out-of-conference schedule, you should run through it with the exception of maybe losing one game at the MT. They did that. You wish it would have been JMU in the championship if you were going to lose one, but is what it is. Right. Going to South Carolina, forgivable. UNCW, rivalry game, but now there's some other losses.
In the rivalry game.
Yeah. And now, if you lose tonight, like I said, that's 2 other losses against teams you had chalked up as victories. Now, North Alabama's better than they were a year ago. They were abysmal last year, but still.
Sure.
It's a game you can't lose. FIU's not great.
Yeah, FIU's not good. They got some nice pieces, and the thing that and I don't foresee this being a big problem tonight. We'll talk to Seymour coming up and get his read on the game. Also, during the course of the show, Kim McNeill will be with us. Coach Kim's Pirates have won 2 in a row, 2-0 road trip for them out, or actually 3 in a row, and a 2-0 road trip for them up in the Commonwealth. We'll have their game tomorrow on radio on VCU against VCU, but I digress. Jeremy Ballard is a VCU Shaka Smart disciple. Coach with Shaka at VCU. A couple stints there. Smart guy. They like to turn you over. They led the country in turnover rate last year. Over 24% of the time. Now, the problem last year for FIU was they'd gamble, it would create a disadvantage on the offensive end, and the opponents hit 40% of their threes, which was the worst in the NCAA as far as three-point percentage allowed. They're much better this year. They're some 10 points better than they were a year ago. So, and what has ECU not been able to do?
Shoot the rock.
Shoot the basketball. Shoot the 3, shoot the basketball. 42% the last 3 games during this losing streak.
No, not
So,
42%. We haven't been shooting. Oh, 42% total. I think you meant 42% from three. I was like, no.
No,
Yeah,
no, no, no. That
42%
number's
total.
that number is some 19 percentage points
Yeah.
lower than the field goal percentage. It is abysmal, and I think there's a lot of pressing on offense right now. I think there is a lot of. I think RJ's putting a lot of pressure on himself. I don't know what it is. Jordan Riley looked really good at South Carolina, all things considered, individually, but has really struggled at home offensively the last couple of games. He hasn't looked right. So C.J. Walker's been amazing, in my opinion. I think he's playing on a maybe not a first-team level, but, I mean, he's playing on a level where he should be a strong consideration for all conference if this sustains itself out the next 2.5, 3 months. So
He is,
we'll
and that's
see.
what we knew he could be. It was a matter of we said it. Hey, can he stay healthy? Can he stay healthy?
Yeah.
Because even if he gets banged up, it's going to set him back a little bit. It's going to set him back with the chemistry of this team. Well, knock on wood, he's been healthy, and like you said, I mean, this is the guy that we was advertised in the portal. This was the guy that Pirate fans were so happy to get, and he's got to put some stuff around him.
Well, it's interesting. Coach Schwartz, in a rather, would you say, Pilk, I don't know if stern's the word, in a rather direct post-game interview with Darren Vaught after the loss to North Alabama last week, essentially said changes are coming. What those changes are going to be, we will see tonight. Is it a stylistic change? Is it a lineup change? Because I think part of the issue is I don't know if you got a lot of places to go necessarily with the lineup and the rotation. There's some things, and we'll get into this with Cy coming up. There are some things I think you could do, but it doesn't solve your problem necessarily. If you get the rim protectors in, maybe that hampers you a little bit on offense and clogs things up with what you want to do. But right now, what you're doing on offense isn't working anyway.
Look, somebody's going to have to shoot the ball. This is 2024, and I know he wants to be defense first.
2025.
Yeah, about to be 2025. And you've got to have somebody in this day and age who can shoot the ball from downtown. I don't care if Evan Maltinari, the walk-on, plays 40 minutes a game. When you go to practice, he's arguably the best shooter. If that's what it's going to take, if he's just got to stand out there and be the three-point threat, if he goes out there and shoots 38%, I don't care if he's a defensive liability at this point. If we can get a 37, 38%, I mean, he was a heck of a high school shooter, and I know it's totally different. It's a different mindset. It's a different speed of game, and I'm not saying he's going to go out there and do that. His high school teammates with Cal Richard, so, he's played with some other big-time players. But, man, if he can be a factor, I'm all for it. I don't care if they got a scholarship, if they're a walk-on, if they're, if it's somebody from the custodial staff. If they can hit some threes, let's get them in the lineup and see what happens.
Pirates came in a 3-possession favorite tonight. You take away the 3 for home court, it's basically a 5-point game. And I think it could very well be that tonight. If you're ECU, again, I'm not looking for anything in this where you're got to win by this amount, whether it's by 1 or 100 by any means necessary. You got to win tonight. So we'll be going to 6:30. We'll join Darren Vaught here on the ECU Sports Network. Darren will have the call of the game tonight here on 94.3 The Game and 107.9 WNCT. Let's see. Bobby, some other news to cover for you. We've got, of course, the report that came out yesterday that Noah Joseph has been hired as the new general manager of the ECU football program. Couple years at Purdue. Of course, it wasn't a great year at Purdue this year. Stints at Missouri, Rutgers, Indiana, and North Texas. It was interesting to hear Blake Harrell talk about last night some of the candidates he had interviewed, someone with a legal background, some people that had been in this role for the NFL, some ex-head coaches. So this is going to be interesting to see how this GM role is going to apply itself to the ECU football program. I think Noah is a good hire by all accounts for the program, would be perfect in a lot of ways. but we'll see. But I think, however this shakes out, Pilk, this is the part of the metamorphosis and the new age of college football. You've got to have somebody who is a general manager that has an idea about your budget, can maybe assign monetary value to the value of a player to your roster, and then maybe even help with the talent evaluation component of things.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring up it's what's going on right now in college football, and it's hard to say going into this if anyone anywhere in the country at any program is a good or a bad hire because no one has ever done this job before. There's never been a job like this. NFL executive, yeah, it's like it a little bit. Director of recruiting, sure, maybe to an extent, but this is the newest job in all of sports, and no one's ever done it before. So it's going to be interesting to see how he plays out, how these positions play out all across the country. And look, different schools have gone with different types of guys. You mentioned former coaches. You mentioned guys who've been NFL execs. Look at who Stanford hired. They hired Andrew Luck, former NFL quarterback, right?
Yeah.
So there's so many ways to go about this, and there is when you say, oh, there's no handbook for that, no, there's no, chicken scratch for how to do this. I mean, nobody has a clue. I'm here for the ride. It's going to be entertaining, but I don't envy anyone who has to do this job in any program. This is not ECU specific. This is just anywhere. I mean, this is going to be odd. No one really knows how to do it. No one knows what all it's going to involve. And but to your point, Patrick, you have to have it. If you don't, this is the definition of adapt or die right here.
Yeah, absolutely. Josh Aldridge didn't really get a chance to touch on this too terribly much yesterday, but he has been, of course, at Liberty as the DC. He's been at Auburn the last couple of years, and he is going to be ECU's next defensive coordinator. One thing about Auburn this year, they had some highly rated, according to the Pro Football Focus, highly rated edge rushers. I thought it was also interesting to hear Coach Harrell, not necessarily specifically, but specifically talking about what he wants out of defense. And that is somebody who is going to be aggressive in a style that he ran, but also going to kind of bring some new things to the table. And Aldridge is a heck of a recruiter. And I think you got to have that. That's got to be a component of what you can do. So whatever you have to pay him, and I would even say whatever deal you have to structure with JDB moving forward, you need to do them. Because I think in this day and age, you're as good as your GM, and you're also still as good as your coordinators. And it does come down to player development. Pilk, any statement there on Josh Aldridge, since we really didn't get a chance to have you chime in on it yesterday?
No, the recruiting thing, like you said, is a big piece. You need coordinators who can relate with the young men directly because, yeah, you got to have a relationship with that head coach, but the head coach oversees everything. They are very much more in with their position groups and their coordinators. What I also love about him that time at Liberty, he called plays. It is tough at East Carolina to find a younger guy who's still young, who can still relate with the student athletes, who also has play calling experience. We took a shot in the dark with JDB, and it worked out. But it's tough. It's tough to give a guy that first opportunity. Well, he got that first opportunity at Liberty. Yes, Hugh Freeze did have his hand in some things there, maybe more so than Blake Harrell will. But at the end of the day, he's got experience, live ball, having to call the right thing on 3rd and 3 when it matters most to win a football game, and nothing can account to what actual in-game experience accounts to. That's huge.
Another note from in-state, Dave Clawson abruptly resigning yesterday, and I say abruptly because according to a source, it was not expected. There was no discussion of this prior to that. There was no ramp-up of this. This kind of blindsided the staff. So Dave Clawson, who was at Wake for 11 years, that's kind of hard to believe, isn't it? 11 years at Wake Forest, had done a pretty good job, a couple games under 500, but that's because they had kind of a subpar year this year due to injuries. Apparently, Clausen wasn't happy with the level of commitment as far as support and NIL. He's going to stay on, at least for now, at the university in some kind of advisory role or something. But I wonder if that's just kind of a transitional sort of thing till they get the contract or the terms of the buyout or whatever done. Because, again, and I mean, I'm going to get blown up on this. I'm going to get messages on this. I'm going to get DM'd. They are not printing money in the ACC at every school. Wake is a great example of that. Even some of the publics, perhaps in this state, that think they're a big dog, aren't printing money. They are in Chapel Hill, apparently.
Now they are.
Well, they always have in Chapel Hill. Yeah, well,
Yeah.
no, they always have in Chapel Hill. It's just what they want to spend it on.
But
I mean,
there's
Dave Clawson
probably
leaving-
3 teams that are printing money in the ACC. SMU, Miami, Carolina.
Yeah.
Well, Clemson.
Clemson,
To an
and
extent.
to a degree, Duke. To
Yeah.
a degree, Duke.
Yeah.
Duke could spend more on football if they wanted. They've got the money. They
Yeah.
just are choosing not to.
True.
That all goes to hoop. Although I will say this, Duke is investing more in football.
Doing a much better job over
They
the
have.
last few years, yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. All right, so got Craig Woolard tonight. Christmas with the Embers going on at 7 o'clock. Reimage Church. Our great colleague and friend, Craig Woolard, our Embers Christmas show, brought to you by Speedy Oil Change, Specialty FDR, Greenville Toyota, SCA Collections, Steinbeck's, Telco Credit Union, GUC, Wilkerson's, Fantastic Sam's, Comfort Master. That might be an old list. Yeah, it is. That's a way old list. Shucks. Anyway, thanks to all of our great sponsors that have sponsored this Craig Woolard and Embers Christmas show. All of the ticket sale money is going to go to all of the folks with Operation Santa Claus. They're going to do the shopping tomorrow. So if you're not going to take in the basketball game tonight and you're looking for something to do this evening, I would encourage you to head out to the Embers Christmas show. It is a huge event every year. It's a Vegas-style show. This is a beach music-y kind of song. It's a play off of I Love Beach Music, the big Embers hit with Christmas music. But all the rest of it is kind of like your traditional Christmas fair and your Vegas-like Christmas fair. So, again, if you're not taking in hoops tonight, hopefully you'll go out there and support a great cause and be entertained. All right, we are hitting a break, and we're going to come back with Seymour, and he's going to join us. It is the Patrick Johnson Show, and we're leading you into Pirate basketball coming up tonight, 7 o'clock, guys. ECU looks to snap the 3-game skid against the Panthers of FIU.
You ready for this?
Oh, I'm very ready. Okay, ready?
You ready?
Streaming to the world at 943thegame.com. This is the Patrick Johnson Show. Now, in all his glory, here's the P-Man.
Patrick Johnson Show, the great Seymour joining us here on the program. Cy getting ready to endure 2 hours of sitting beside me to call the game, ECU and FIU. So I apologize, Coach Seymour, for that.
Love every minute of it. I'll enjoy being with you. We both care, and we both really enjoy basketball. And we talk it off the air and on the air. So, looking forward to it.
So, Cy, I brought this up to you off the air a while back, and I'm wondering, we'll talk about tonight's game. But on Saturday, we've got the Running Bulldogs of Gardner-Webb, the former Fighting Tim Crafts, coming to town. And it's Ugly Sweater Day, I think, for Christmas, which I just said is Cy Seymour's normal sweaters.
Exactly.
So
that's the truth.
do you have a Christmas sweater you'll wear? Because I'll find one or attempt to find one at the very least.
I'll attempt to find one, but I have so many. What do I do? I mean, it's a tough situation.
Well, and look, some of the stuff you talk about you want to wear to these games has me concerned for you.
Yeah, well, I understand. I can understand that. I can understand where you're coming from, and you should be concerned. And you should be concerned. Yes.
But I mean, some of this stuff, I don't know what your wife Vanita would do if she saw you. It'd probably be something.
She expects the worst out of me. You need to understand that. She expects the worst, and then she's satisfied if I'm halfway close to decent.
So we'll see. We'll discuss this further and try to figure it out.
I got you.
Yeah,
I'm with you. I'm with you.
We'll try to figure it out. The great Seymour joining us here on the show. All right, let's talk about tonight's game.
Yes.
To me, the big storyline is this, and shout out to Grady for coming up with the stats here. The Grady Dillon, 63 points, 42% from the field, 22.8% from three over the last 3 games during this losing streak for the Pirates. So is it just that simple that the offense and the shooting is not any good right now?
Well, yeah, it's been tough. And shooting is confidence. And you almost get to a point where you really need to run sets that set screens for your really good shooters. And ECU their premise is to run screens and set screens, but it's not dedicated to getting shooters open. You're supposed to getting open on one screen and making a shot.
Right.
And I get that. I get that too. But sometimes there's going to come a point where you say, okay, this kid's in the game. He's hot. Let's run a double stagger on the weak side, get him open. But ECU does a lot of good things. But right now we're just not hitting shots. I think one of the things too that teams do, and ECU is one of them, and Brewers team down here at FIU same way. I think you play such hard defense. Your guys have to go all the way inside and help out on the weak side. And sometimes your guards are having to go 90 feet instead of being outside and going down at a shorter running pace.
Right.
That game gets to you and your legs get tired. So that can be a factor too. There's a lot of factors that go into shooting, but I think the number one is psychological. I just think I think Dean Smith had a great philosophy. They said, "Who is your shooting coach? Y'all really do a good job with it. Do you teach it? Do y'all all teach it?" And he says, "No. Bill Guthridge teaches the shooters. I don't want 4 guys going up to our guy and saying, move your elbow in, wave at the ball, follow through."
Right.
Bill Guthridge was their only speaker to talk to shooters. And so they didn't have 15 different lessons coming at them. It's the same thing with hitting a baseball. You get 5 different hitting coaches. They're going to tell him 5 different things. I mean, so Coach Smith, who was one of the best there was, he had one guy, and it was Bill Guthridge that talked to him about shooting. And that's how he did. And I've noticed Mike doesn't pressure shooters. You'll miss a shot, and he didn't pull them out. He's saying, let's play through it. And that's the smart. I think that's a smart way to play it. Mike Schwartz. I think that's another way you do it. So they've just got to get back into the groove of making shots, and when it hits, that's going to help. I think there's a lot of different factors that go into it. I think breaking a guard down and on the dribble and driving through the basket and kicking it helps. And so you got to break down guards a little more. You got to get by people and pass it to where he's an open shooter, and then he's got to knock it down. But it's not any one person's fault. It's just part of the game.
Yeah. Cy Seymour joining us here on the Patrick Johnson Show. It is East Carolina hosting FIU. The Panthers come in at 4-6. We'll get into them here in a little bit. R.J. Felton most notably has struggled, and again, Grady's kind of put together some numbers. But here's what I've put together, and I think this is, because R.J.'s not, certainly he can get on a roll like any great offensive player can. And great player can, but he's not a noted shooter per se.
Right.
But to me, it's the scoring situation. I think he's pressing. First 7 games, over 22 a night. Last 4 games, averages just over 10. You can't that number, unfortunately, right now has to be closer to that 20 in order for ECU to have a shot.
Oh, I agree with you. And a lot of, especially playing at South Carolina, that's a lot of pressure. You got a lot of home people there. They've got length. They're tall. They're going to really try to look, what good teams do, they take away your major threat. That's what they do. And so then you begin to press. You take shots that aren't your shot. And then you said it right. RJ is a scorer. He's not a pure shooter. He is a scorer. And so sometimes he's been taking and pressing shots that he didn't need to take. And that's okay. It's okay to do that. But his key is when he gets you in the paint, he's going to finish. And he does that. And he makes tough shots in the paint area or 15 feet out. If he's hitting the jumpers, that's gravy, but there's no need to force the jumpers. You got to be open and in rhythm and take that shot. And that's just part of the game that I really think at South Carolina, all of his family was there. Mm-hmm. That's a pressure game. So he's got to get within himself and do the things he does well. And the last couple of games, he's not had that. And then the pressure mounts,
right.
The pressure mounts.
Yeah.
So how do you get back? You get back to your game. You get back to the short game, get it going. He's tough from the line. He's going to get fouled a lot. And then when you see the open jumper, you take it. And it's in RJ. He's a tremendous player. He'll get it done.
C.J. Walker's having a splendid year. 17 a night, top 10 in the American right now. Third in the conference in field goal percentage and just outside the top 10 in rebounding. He's coming off a game in which he blocked a career-high 3 shots or an ECU-high 3 shots. He led the American in block shots 2 years ago. So and was top 50 in the AAC or in the NCAA with UCF. So he's got that component to his game as well. He's active. I like him when they get it to him in the post and give him space and let him go to work because I think that's where he can be the most effective. And Walker seemingly is healthy. He's in great shape. So I really like his game right now. So I break his game down for us.
There's so many good things about what he does. I mean, you've hit it all, and you're right. First of all, he can score in different areas. He can shoot the three, which is scary for a lot of schools. He can shoot when he gets it inside. His footwork is NBA footwork. Mm-hmm. He just does a really good job of getting his shot off and being patient with it, and then making it above bigger kids. And his presence defensively is so strong, it's unbelievable. But something else he does that we were talking about, a group of coaches, we were just high school guys and coaches, we were talking about what they like about him too. He can guard a 3-man. It's amazing. Yeah. Like when he gets caught on a screen and he's all of a sudden guarding a 6'3" guard or 6'2" guard, he can guard them. He doesn't. They stay in front of him. He is a really good defensive player on the ball and off the ball against guys that are smaller and quicker. He's just a really good basketball player. Does a lot of good things that are helping this ECU team. Personally, I would like to see him be more of a pure force sometime during the game. Right. I'd like to see him with Seymour Malanga out there at the 5 and the other bigs, and let him play a little bit off that ball 4. Because I'm telling you, then you got size and you got him freed up a little bit more against a 4-man. He could be very difficult. But again, coach is doing a good job with him. He's doing a nice job of playing what he's doing for ECU, getting a lot out of him. He is a real treat and been a bonus for East Carolina.
Cy Seymour joining us here on the Patrick Johnson Show. Cy, I got to think too. You a great point. You were bringing that up in the last telecast, and that's Walker needs to be out there with one of the 6'10" players of the 7-footer in Malanga. To me, I think, especially if you're going to go zone, I'd find a way to have a combination of Malanga and Kaysen and even Callum in there, and just maybe rotate those guys through. Because they're so obviously, I mean, that height, with Sear especially, that range, it's disruptive.
Yeah. Well, I think it's good to run a little bit of zone, and they've done a good job. I think Mike Schwartz has done everything he can do to try to turn things, and he's using every means he knows, but it takes this long when you've got a brand new ball club, and that's what teams are going through.
Right.
personally, and we're looking at it from the outside. We're not at practice every day. I think Woodard is just electric. When he comes in the game at 6'7" and long, he does a lot of good things for your ball club.
Right.
And I'm sure they see that, but they also see things that he could do better. But I'm just saying, when you look at that basketball team and you're talking about the American Conference, when you see Sear Malong at 7 feet and he at 6'7", they are in the height range that really changes games in the American Conference. So those guys have got to get ready and prepared for you in conference play. I think also moving to the 4. I think you put Walker to the 4 a little more. That helps you. And those are parts of the thing that they're working on. And I think they probably saw last week when they went and ran a little bit of zone with Woodard at the top and Sear in the lineup. They cut the lead to 5. And then, you see good things happen, but the problem is good shooting teams can figure out a zone, and that's what happens too. Mike Schwartz is a man-to-man defensive coach, and he's right. That's what you have to play. But those big kids need to learn to play man-to-man defense to help you when there's a dribble drive and they can stop you. I mean, those are kids that can help you. And I think he's pushing every button he can, and you're seeing a little bit more of it in the last few games. You've seen them come in more. But I think Woodard is a guy that could end up being a 25 to 20, 30-minute game minutes a game for you in the long haul.
More with Seymour coming up as we'll talk Pirate Hoops with him. It's ECU and FIU tonight in basketball from Greenville. We're leading you into coverage here on 94.3 The Game. So stay tuned. We'll talk about the Panthers with Cy and get some more thoughts on college basketball, particularly the American, with Seymour in just a bit. A timeout, and when we come back, Philip the Ref Pilkington with a 94.3 The Game sports update and Pirate Report.
Sometimes you just don't know if you want to kiss him or slap him.
Ow!
Either way, he'd probably like it. The Patrick Johnson Show on 94.3 The Game.
We're taking you to ECU basketball coverage at 6:30 tonight. Darren Vaught on the call, and the great Seymour will be with me on ESPN+. You can listen to the game here on 94.3 The Game and 107.9 WNCT. Hope you'll be out at the game tonight. Would love to see a good crowd for the Pirates as they try to get off the schneid and get the victory over FIU. The Panthers come to town with a 4-6 mark. They've pieced together 2 in a row, have won 3 of the last 5, coming off a win against Stetson on the road. Last time out, one of those in-state rivalry deals. Cy, when you look at this team, in some ways they resemble ECU. They're coached by Jeremy Ballard, who is a Shaka Smart disciple, so they're going to get after you on defense. I really like the kid, Jaden Brewer, the wing. A little bit slight, but he's got length and is a guy that, has the ability to score the basketball and can shoot it fairly well in doing that. He had 20 last time out and also was 7 of 12 from the floor. They don't shoot the 3 real well. We can get into that, but, it almost seems like, in a way, if Brewer can get a little bit of help from a couple of other guys, they're very potent. It could be a problem.
Yeah, they're very much like East Carolina. Brewer, when I look at the stat lines, I see them, but I also look at the teams you have to play. He had 17 points and 13 rebounds against FAU, which is in our league. Mm-hmm. So he can take tonight. You better be ready for Brewer. He's 6'6", a wing. He can drive it. He can finish. And as I said, when you look at light competition, FAU has picked, although they've struggled so far this year, this kid got 17 points and 13 rebounds against them this year. So this is a kid that can really set it up. I think the big guy, Jonathan Abar, inside is 6'9". He's a stopper. They've got bigs that they want to pressure you just like ECU does. They pressure you, and then their guards like Giddens, I really like him. Jones, these guys, they go downhill. They run to look. If they get the ball, they're going to dribble inside and try to finish inside. If you don't have a rim protector in there, they're going to finish. And that's the kind of team you're playing tonight. And I'll have to tell you, this is a good coach. I mean, make no bones, this is a guy that played at Colgate, was one of those kids that got the coaches awards for hustle and doing the right stuff. And the other thing about him is his teams kind of reflect his personality. By the way, an English major. He graduated from college in English from Colgate. He is a good basketball coach that wants to play the style of 40 minutes. You know, we're gonna defend you the length of the court. We're gonna put it on you. They cause a lot of turnovers. In fact, a lot more than you want to have. You've got to protect the ball. If you're East Carolina, they're going to come after you with that. And so when you're Cam Hayes or Seymour, they've got to really protect the ball, or Woodard, whoever's playing the point at that time. You got to really be smart and protect the basketball. They don't shoot it. They're like East Carolina. They're really struggling shooting the ball. But both teams are going to defend. They're going to be highly aggressive. The key to be like, do you hit some threes when you're open? Because here, Patrick, where you're vulnerable, it's a real simple philosophy. Don't defend, or don't extend what you can't defend. So they're going to defend out, and they're going to leave you open for threes. And that's the problem last year. They struggled with that because teams hit threes.
Right, yeah.
And so when you look up with like right now, East Carolina, we extend, and the teams are hitting 35% threes against us. We're not. They are. The opponents are shooting the ball better. Same with Florida International. When you extend the floor, you're going to leave gaps. And so far, the other teams are shooting about 30%. They're shooting at 69%. Mm-hmm. So that's the price you pay for pressure. So anyway, it's not bad, but you better be able to hit it the other end too. You better be able to hit your threes. And you have to get back. You have to get back. The three ball is so much a big picture right now for ECU. You're giving about 6 or 7 points a game more from the threes than you're getting, and that's a big difference. Same thing with FIU. They're struggling. The Panthers are struggling shooting the basketball, and that's what's affecting their record. But they're going to come in. They're going to try to turn you over. They've got the weapons. They've got depth inside. If they're not injured, we will find out later on. But tonight, in a few minutes here, or an hour or so, we'll see if they're warming up. But anyway, that's part of it. That's what we're going to deal with.
Cy Seymour joining us here, Patrick Johnson Show, as we get ready for ECU basketball tonight against FIU. You made a great point. What's crazy is their opponents last year in conference shot 45% from three in conference.
Right.
Is what the opponent shot again. So they I always thought originally when somebody talked about, you got to play 3-point defense, or, well, how do you do that? But explain that to people when they say it's like either you shoot a good percentage or you don't. No, it's not that simple. There's a little more to it than that. It's all the work you do, as I understand it, Cy. It's all the work you do prior to the shot that determines how effective you are defensively in defending the three.
Yeah, when you extend the floor to that extent, if the guard beats your guard, now it's 4-on-5. It's 5-on-4. You pass that guard, so now he's dribbling in. The guards have to come to him to stop him from going in for a layup, or guys have to. You begin to pack the lane a little bit, even if it's 2 steps. If that guard kicks it to a corner, or he's looking for an open guy, that's his job. His guy is to find that shooter that's open, and then they start to pass, and you have to rotate around defensively to get everywhere. It makes it very, very difficult. That's why transition basketball is so important. You've got to get back and find people. If you lose them in transition, the three ball it's the big shot. It's the game changer, and so. You got to make sure that when you extend that floor, you better be able to get back and rotate correctly. And usually it's a rotation issue that somebody doesn't get out. It's high hands. You don't get hands out there. It's all a part of it. So defense is more than just one guy's fault. It's a rotation thing. It's making sure you get back and get to another guy. If you're trailing and you're the guard, you got to find where you need to be in that rotation. So there's a lot more to it than people understand.
Right.
But it all starts at that defensive end. If you extend that floor, it's a good thing to do. You can get a lot of turnovers, but you can also get the three ball buried in your face, and that's what happened last year at FIU.
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting slate tonight. We, of course, have our game at 7 on ESPN Plus and here on the ECU Sports Network and 94.3 The Game. You got Duke tonight at home against George Mason, 7th-ranked Florida at UNC. That's kind of an interesting matchup in my mind. And then you've got Clemson coming off a loss to Memphis at South Carolina. That'll be a tough one. And Memphis, they'll play tomorrow night at Virginia. They kind of continue their toward the ACC. How huge was that win, though, for Penny Hardaway's team, which has now cracked the top 25 at Clemson the other night?
Well, I just look at his resume right now. I mean, you think about what he's done. He beat Missouri, who beat Kansas. He's beaten Missouri. Mm-hmm. He's beaten UConn. He's beaten Michigan State, and he's beaten Clemson at Clemson. Now, when you look at those 4 wins, and you're at the end of the year, you're going to struggle justifying not putting them in if there are 2 teams. Let's say they don't win our league.
Right.
Let's say they don't win the American, and they've got 20 wins. How do you leave them out? They are building a nice – and the Virginia game is another one. If he beats Virginia, that's another one.
Because it's a road game, yeah, absolutely.
It's a road game, and it's all a part of it. Now, it's not the same Virginia there was, and Memphis can be Memphis sometimes. They can blow it, but they've won some major, really big contests, and they've got talent.
And a week from Saturday, they'll have Ole Miss, who's in the top 20. So I mean, they've got a really they're playing a big boy non-con schedule.
They really are. They're saying we're building our resume, and they've done it. They've already done it. Yeah. I mean, this many wins on these teams. It's all Michigan State will be a quad 1 win. UConn will be a quad 1 win when you look at the end of the year. Clemson will be a quad 1 win. Missouri will be a quad 1 win. Not many teams can say that. No, I mean, this is a really good start. Whether you like Memphis, dislike Memphis, what they've done so far is really a step toward make a real case for them in the NCAA tournament and a good seed.
Right.
And a good seed.
Yeah, absolutely. 8-2 is Memphis, and they're also 2-0 on the road so far. Wichita also 8-2. I think had a bad loss at DePaul. They were leading at the half. That's not a good double-digit loss. Who else in the conference has kind of stood out to you here? I know you're big on FAU. They have won his Florida Atlantic 3 in a row, but they're still trying to kind of find them. So, I think it's so fascinating. I heard this on a broadcast over the weekend, and that is, a lot of this now is being treated pre-conference as the preseason in a sense. Because, I mean, your roster's getting to know one another.
Yeah. It's not what I thought it was going to be. Right now, I'm talking about, when I say we, I'm talking about the American Conference, has really not done, and Memphis has been the bright spot. But, UAB, who I consider to be, they were preseason conference picked to win it. They've struggled. They've struggled so far. FAU, you lost your coach, who's now at Michigan. That's a big loss to your program. It's another adjustment, and you're seeing it. You're seeing it right before your eyes that teams that you thought were good. I think Wichita can be okay because I saw them beat Minnesota early in the year. They're good. Yeah. But like you just said, all of a sudden you drop off. I mean, right now, is there anybody stepping out and looking good? The only team is Memphis. Really, that's the one team that you say they are really standing up and doing. Now, has the conference had some good wins? Yes. But no, USF's played well sometimes. Then they've laid an egg. ECU's played well sometimes. Then they lay eggs. Yeah. But this is the way most of the league is right now. And Tulsa's not the Tulsa they were 4 years ago. They're just not. They haven't been. That's tough. Rice is new. San Antonio's new. We don't know enough about them. You lost SMU out. So Temple's going to be okay. I think Temple's going to be good. So there's going to be some, but these are all winnable games. If I'm talking about looking at from East Carolina's eyes, if you can get it straight and get it together, there's a lot of winnable games in the conference that I thought beforehand would be very difficult to be in the gym with them. I mean, so there's a lot of good things, but you have to get your house in order, and that's what every team is thinking right now.
Yeah,
everybody's got so many new players.
We're going to have UTSA's game at ECU on a Sunday in February. I hope he stays healthy because I really want to see in person Primo Spears play. He's leading the American in scoring. He's an older guard and has had an excellent year for the Roadrunners so far.
Oh, exactly. He's a good one. I mean, that's what we are just beginning this year. I mean, but what I'm seeing so far is just what you think you'd see with the portal. When you're getting 8 or 9 kids on your roster that are new, you're trying to figure out your puzzles. That's what you're doing.
Yeah.
And Memphis has great pieces of the puzzle. I mean, he literally got an all-star team in the portal.
Yeah.
And they're playing well. And he's doing a nice job with his ball club.
By the way, Primo, he's on his 4th team in 4 years.
There you go. That's what I'm saying. It's nuts. Exactly right.
It's crazy.
No, you're exactly right.
We need to do a show one day where we just talk about all the madness of college sports.
Crazy.
Yeah. I mean, what are we doing?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, tonight's game, for example, both teams are shooting it from the 3. When you look up, FIU shooting it at 28%.
Yeah.
East Carolina shooting it at 27%.
Yeah, brutal.
Okay.
It's just brutal. Yeah.
It reminds me, Abe Lemons was asked one time when he was going to play Cincinnati. I think it was Cincinnati or Dayton. And he was at Texas. And they couldn't shoot. Those teams could not shoot. And you know what he said? They said, Coach, what's your strategy tonight? He said, zone Xavier and find a good restaurant. That was it. That's exactly what he said. Zone Xavier and find a good restaurant. Well, these two teams can both say that tonight. We'll zone them up and see what happens. We'll find a good restaurant.
Zone, find a restaurant. All right. Cy, I'll see you in a little bit. You're the best. Thank you.
Anytime. See you later, buddy.
All right, thanks to the great Cy Seymour. He's a priceless guy, Seymour is. All right, we are going to hit a break. We'll continue on here. Patrick Johnson Show leading you into East Carolina basketball tonight against FIU. Stay with us. Coach Kim McNeill, as East Carolina women will host VCU tomorrow night. We'll get her thoughts on that. And that is coming your way. It is the Patrick Johnson Show, a deluxe 90-minute edition today. Here on 94.3 The Game.
Taking the rage out of your drive home.
You just cut me off! But it's no big deal.
Patrick Johnson on 94.3 The Game and the new IBX Media app.
Pirate basketball coming up tonight and women's basketball tomorrow, ECU and VCU. So a couple of days, a couple of games, and the Pirates and Rams will renew hostilities with the Pirates having won 2 in a row. Good trip through Virginia, and let's talk to ECU women's basketball coach Kim McNeill. Coach Kim, back with us here on the Patrick Johnson Show. It's always a lot of fun whenever we catch up with her. Hey, Coach, congratulations. What a win in overtime at Old Dominion on Sunday. And, those are the things that give coaches antacid and gray hair and all that good stuff. But it's always great, especially when you beat a program that's got the tradition and stature of ODU in overtime on the road.
Thanks for having me on. I always appreciate you covering my team and the support that you've given me and my program, so I really appreciate it. But, ODU is a really good program. They're playing well, kind of similar to us, Patrick. Identity is defense, getting after it on the offensive glass, so, we told the team it's going to, be like looking at yourselves in the mirror a little bit, except, they hang their hats on man defense where we hang our hats on our matchup. But it was gritty, grindy, ugly game. And it's good to win those games.
Yeah.
You know, because obviously winning is hard to come by anyway, but when you can go on the road and beat a team like that, you know, when your backs was up against the wall several times and be able to pull it out in overtime. You know, as I said in the video, I don't know if people seen the video on social media, but, you know, that's a season-changing win right there. You know, that's a confidence builder, you know, in our program and in our players that, you know, we can battle back. We can win games off of what we're made off of, and that's defense, because we got some key stops down the stretch, and still be able to execute some things, you know, out of timeouts, and, you know, be able to find, you know, put the ball in people's hands that it needs to go in. And so, you know, did it give me a huge headache? You know, did it give me, you know, my heart beating 1,000 miles per hour? Yes, it did. But, you know, it was good to come home with the win.
It's great that the Pirates got a victory and a 2-0 swing through Virginia, which is always a good thing. Coach, part of the superlatives being handed out by the conference this week goes to Amaya Joyner, the player of the week in the American this week. And she had a huge game at ODU on Sunday, including the game winner.
She did. You know, I just think, you know, with Mama, it's a work in progress. You know, I think the biggest thing is to get her to be consistent in practice. During the exam break, I think as all college coaches across the country, that's a tough week. You know, kids are stressing about exams, final papers, and you go into it, you know, thinking you're going to utilize it to get better. But a lot of times it's pulling them through, you know, because kids are so stressed out about exam break. So, you know, we didn't have a good exam break week of practice. And I really challenged her to be better in practice, to be better in games, to be more consistent in practice and in games. And I think since then, you know, she's you know, stepped up to the challenge, you know, with playing, you know, well against Elon, well against Hampton, and then having a monster game, you know, against ODU, which we don't win that game without her.
Coach Kim McNeill with us here on the Patrick Johnson Show. We've got Pirate basketball tonight as ECU will take on FIU, and then the women will play tomorrow against VCU. That game here on 94.3 The Game, beginning at 5:45 with a 6 o'clock tip. Again, that is tomorrow. We're leading you into ECU Network coverage tonight with Darren Vaught at 6:30. Patrick Johnson Show here on 94.3 The Game. Coach, I'm looking at you know, back through the game, some of the highlights, but also some of the numbers. And one of the things that, to me, stands out about Mai's performance, certainly the monster 27 and 17, the crazy shot to win it with the spinning scoop. But she had a couple of free throws with seconds to go in regulation. And that was, to me, that was huge for her and huge for your team.
Definitely, you know, Maya's probably averaging going to the free throw line 6 or 7 times a game, and I think that's what it's going to look like, you know, from here on out, because she's going to be a huge focal point, you know, in our offense, and people are going to key in on her, you know, whether it's, you know, making her moves, being double, whether it's on the offensive rebound. So, you know, right now I think she's sitting at 50-some% from the free throw line. I think she's a way better free throw shooter than that, but I'll take 6 from 9 from her, you know, any night. You know, and like you said, she hit 2, I think, in regulation. I think she hit 2 in overtime. So
yeah.
You know, that's huge for her. You know, that's huge, and she knows that. She understands that. She's in here every single day working on her free throws, and we've made some adjustments to it. So hopefully you'll see that percentage start to grow, you know, as the season goes on.
Coach, when I last talked to you before the Elon game, you were searching for some players to step up in the backcourt. Kaya Miller has a fantastic game, a career high against the Phoenix, and has started to see some of her offensive numbers, you know, start to creep up. She looked great in hitting the 3-point shot, which I know you would like to have some regularity. But is Kaya that one that you feel like can maybe step up and be a compliment to Mai and also help supplement Jayla Herbst's play and take a little pressure off of Jayla?
I do. I think Kaya can be a 10 to 12 point scorer for us every night. You know, she just got to slow down. You know, Kaya is an energizer bunny on both sides of the floor, and sometimes that speed and that energy hurts her on the offensive end because she's trying to play too fast. You know, and I've been really emphasizing her just slow down. She has a really good pull up. She has a really good 3-point shot. Sometimes I think she rushes the 3-point shot and she doesn't need to because she's got good size as a guard and she elevates nicely. And I think she just has to slow it down a little bit. But for me as a coach, I got to figure out a way to get her and Jayla going at the same time, more consistent.
Yeah.
I think if we're able to do that, you'll see us get out of the 50s and be more in, that 65, 67 range, which is my goal for us to be offensively. And if we can continue to keep people in the 50s, I think you'll see more W's than you'll see L's. But that's my job as a coach, to try to figure out how to get them going at the same time. I think with Jayla, it's just a confidence thing. Jayla's a very good player. I think she's still trying to get herself back in rhythm for being out for a year, trying to fight through some aches and pains with that knee that you're going to go through, being back, your first year with that injury. But we'll continue to work. I like the fact that they are shooting the 3 more. I think I've said to you, Patrick, we need to hit at least 6 a game so we can open up that paint so that we can get that double and triple team off of Amaya. People have to respect us. I don't think we're not a team that you're going to look down at the stat sheet and see 25 to 30 attempts from the 3. I don't want that. But I do want 16 to 17, and hopefully we can hit, 6 to 7 consistently every night.
Miller, by the way, 13 and 7 boards against ODU. I'm also, wanting to pick up on what you said about Jayla Herp there. I mean, she had a freshman year. Last game of the conference tournament gets hurt, and then and misses the whole year. So I mean, in a way, it's a big reset. And then you made a great point there. We've talked about it so many times. With players coming back from an injury, it's the mental part more than anything of dealing, especially with a knee injury.
Yeah, and sometimes you got to push through some aches and pains, and that's the mental piece of thinking, there's something wrong with me. It's just a part of the process, And I had a really good conversation with Jayla yesterday, and I believe in her. I'm extremely confident in her. It's just her believing in herself, and I think. That Hampton Norfolk trip was a homecoming for her.
Right.
So she had lots of people in the stands, and Jayla's a pleaser. Whether it's trying to please me, trying to please her family, And so I just told just relax, just be you, stop predetermining. I think she's already, got it made up in her mind what she's going to do before she even gets the ball. And I'm just reiterating to her, just let the game come to you and just take what the defense gives you. I want her to be a 3-level scorer. Get down, shoot the pull up, shoot the 3, and get downhill. Those type of kids are very, very hard to guard. And so it's just her getting her confidence back, which I know she will. I think she'll have a really good game tomorrow against VCU.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the Rams. Also, the Pirates will be playing at noon Saturday at home against UNCW. So the tour of old CAA foes continues for ECU. Is they'll get VCU tomorrow. And then we'll take on the Seahawks. So let's start with the Rams. They're coming off a big win Monday against Delaware State out of the MEAC. But prior to that, they had lost some games. But when you look at who they had faced, they were in one of those events down in Mexico, and then had JMU, which that's a rivalry deal there. So they had played some pretty stiff competition. And then drop 3 in a row coming in. So they're 5-5 overall. What can you tell us about these teams, this team, as far as your scouting report and kind of what you're looking at with them?
Yeah, I've said this multiple times. When we build our schedule, we're building a non-conference schedule that has multiple opponents that we feel like will get us ready for conference play. And obviously, I feel, ODU, a JMU, VCU, Montana State, UNLV, all those teams are very comparable to teams in the American. But VCU is very similar to ODU. They get after it defensively. They've got a post player that is, causes a lot of havoc on the offensive glass. So we've got to keep her off the boards. I think their strength is their guard play. Just as I thought ODU's strength was their guard play, was getting downhill, getting into the paint, and creating kicks for outside shots for their open shooters. So the game plan doesn't change a lot. We've got to really contain that penetration. We've got to keep them out of the paint. We've got to ball them up and try to keep them on one side of the floor to eliminate ball reversal. cause havoc, get out into the passing lanes, and allow our defense to create offense for us. Our game plan doesn't really change a whole lot unless we see a team that's got, 4 or 5 shooters on the floor at the same time. Then that may cause us to play a little bit more man-to-man. But we've proven that we can do that too, when we need to go all man. So, we're pretty versatile when it comes to our defensive game plan. But, offensively, I'm still just trying to figure out a way to have us take care of that ball a little bit better. I told them they got to value that ball like it's their life. And we've got to get those turnovers down so that we give ourselves opportunities to score the ball. But, we'll be in our matchup. We may play a little bit of man, but we've got to, cause some havoc, protect that paint, keep them to one opportunity on the offensive glass, and then get out and see if we can create more offense in transition.
ECU and VCU tomorrow at Williams Arena, Minges Coliseum. It is salute to service night, and we'll be honoring those that are first responders and that sort of thing, I presume, Coach. So that's another great thing that you all do, and I think
definitely.
I think a great job you all do to embrace the community. All right, it's the holiday game Saturday. Now,
yes.
I know for the men's game, and unfortunately, I won't be doing your game on Saturday. I'll be there tomorrow for radio. I'll be there for the men's game, but I'll be there watching
okay.
and that kind of thing. I can be a good Pirate fan and alum during the women's game. I don't have to be neutral. So when you play the Seahawks. All right, so when you all, I know we're doing like ugly sweaters for the men's game. What does the holiday game entail against UNCW?
Yeah, Patrick, my first year here, we did a holiday game and we dressed up and had the ugly sweaters and all that on, and Howard came in and kicked our butts by 20. So ever since then, I refuse to do a holiday game. I refuse to do it. I'm not going to do it. If everybody else wants to wear their ugly sweaters, they can do it, but we got embarrassed so badly. I can't do it. But I do want to put this in Pirate Nation's ear and put it on their calendars. Hopefully they can come out Wednesday and Saturday. But Saturday, we're doing a huge tribute to Ramey Stein.
Right, yep.
And Ramey was unbelievable Pirate, unbelievable man. He coached my son, Caden, in Little League for 3 years. This was going to be Caden's 12-year-old year, his last year with Ramey. And unfortunately, we lost him, back in August. But we're gonna, so all the former Brown and Wood players, Brown and Wood family, anybody that knew Ramey, please come out on Saturday. We have a gift for him and his family, his daughters and grandchildren are going to be there, and we're going to honor him at halftime. So I would love to try to get as many Brown and Wood alum here. Wear your Brown and Wood hat, wear your Brown and Wood shirts, so we can have an unbelievable tribute to an unbelievable man that was a huge contributor to not only Pirate Nation, but to the Greenville community.
Well said, Coach. VCU tomorrow night at 6 for the women, and then noon on Saturday. Not only is it the holiday game, but it is Ramey Stein's. And they have, I know, the green bracelets that they've been giving, the green band bracelets.
Yes. Yes.
That's something too. Maybe they'll be handed some of those. I know Seymour has one that he wears on our broadcast, so that's a cool thing. Coach, when you look at these last 2 non-conference games, and then things fire up, you get to go on the road, Tulsa to Temple. That's an easy. That's an easy trip, right?
Goodness gracious, crazy, right?
But what are you looking to get out of your team over the next 2 games so you're ready to start conference play on the 29th at Tulsa?
Yeah, so after we came back from Thanksgiving, we knew we had 5 games left. So the goal was to try to, we said we're going into this 5-game tournament to finish out non-conference play, and we wanted to go 5-0. And obviously we couldn't go 5-0 without going 1-0. We've accomplished that. Now we're looking at 3-0. So, it never changes, Patrick. I just want to continue to get better every single day. And I think the thing we really, really got to focus on, we're always going to try to, get better defensively, but I think the huge focus right now is just taking care of that ball. We can't go into conference play turning that ball over 20 times a game,
right?
Which is what we're doing right now. So, the focus is just, making better decisions, not forcing things, slowing down, really executing our offense so we can get those turnovers down to about 14 or 15 a game to give ourselves more opportunities to score the ball.
Coach Kim, it's always great to talk to you. We'll see you tomorrow night. Thanks for the time, and looking forward to seeing the Pirates play tomorrow. Also on Sunday for the game to honor Ramey Stein, or excuse me, Saturday for the game to honor Ramey Steins. And that's a noon tip on Saturday against rival UNCW. Coach, thanks.
Thank you, Patrick. Go Pirates.
Thanks to Coach Kim for being with us as East Carolina in women's hoops will play against VCU tomorrow. And again, don't forget Ramey Steins will be recognized and honored appropriately so at the game on Saturday when the Pirates play against UNCW. All right. I'm going to head over to the arena, get ready for the game tonight. I'll be on ESPN Plus with the great Seymour. Thanks to him for being on with us. Pilk will get you through the rest of the program with some cuts from last night's Inside Pirate Athletics, as we had Blake Harrell, JDB, and Damon Magazoo on the program with us. Final one of the year. We'll be back with that on January 6th from Tiebreakers. It is the PJ Show. Don't forget tomorrow, back in the morning on Talk of the Town. Looking forward to that. And going to have Jay Sunholder, Sonny Sunholder tomorrow, talking college football and the Pirates with ECU football alum and ESPN college football analyst, bowl season radio college football analyst, Jay Sunholder will be with us. All right. Stay tuned. More to come right after these words as Pilk will get you home.